Morning. There it is. All right. We're all here together. Good morning. My name is Ben Holquist. I use he, him pronouns. I serve as one of your board of trustee members, and I'm happy to welcome all of you on Zoom and in the sanctuary to the Tacoma Unitarian Universalist congregation. Unitarian Universalists are a community of people who hold many beliefs, many origins, identities, sexualities, and genders. We uphold and celebrate the inherent dignity of every person, which means you're welcome here just the way you are. Love is the power that holds us together as we gather in community to seek life's deeper meanings and to celebrate the diversity of all living things. We are all growing with and learning from one another. If you are here for the first time, we bid you a special welcome. After the service, I'll be in the sanctuary right over there, table with a red tablecloth. To answer any questions you may have about Unitarian Universalism or our congregation, or if you have questions about how to become involved in our community. I also encourage you to explore our website, tahomauu.com. At the website, you can sign up for our weekly e-news that comes out on Fridays, and then includes information about the important and fun events going on in the congregational life and how you can participate. There's so much happening at TUUC. I've just got a few announcements today. Tonight at, there's the Hanukkah party, which I believe is at 5. Yes, 5. It is at 5 o'clock tonight is the Hanukkah party, games, fun. There is also today at 11:45, so right after the service, we have the artist reception for today, or for the current gallery. So if you want to stick around for that, you can hear about all the really cool art. And then last but not least, on Wednesday, December 24th at 6 p.m., we are having a Christmas Eve service. So that's not this Wednesday, that's Christmas Eve Wednesday. So that will be at 6 p.m. here. It will be a potluck, but the goal is small portions, sort of tapas potluck. We're looking for people. You don't need to bring a big fancy dinner item. So that is some of the things that are going on right now. You're also invited to join us for social hour after the service and before the artist reception. We will have at the service right over there. For those of you who are newer, we have red coffee mugs for you to use if you would like to identify yourself and have us come and talk to you. If you have a red mug, it's on us to talk to you. If you are someone who would benefit from a large print hymnal or a hearing assistance device, they are available in the back of the sanctuary on my left. We want to remind everybody that our services are available through Zoom and posted to YouTube, which means that if you come up front, your image may appear in those venues. As we begin our service in this beautiful place called Tacoma by local indigenous tribes and nations, I acknowledge that we meet today on the land of the Coast Salish people, including the Puyallup tribal nation, land from which they were forcibly displaced. I honor the resiliency of indigenous people and stand with them as they continue to protect their culture, land, and water, and fight for their visibility, sovereignty, and very existence. Lastly, please set your electronic devices to worship mode. Let us exhale deeply and settle ourselves into the holy moment of sharing and receiving. Now let us join together in worship.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Margo Rinehart. I'm the minister here. You do not see me every Sunday because I only work half-time. And let me just say, it makes the Sundays I am here all the more special. And I carry you in my heart, even though there might be a gap when I see you. It's just very special to be here with you this morning. I use she, her pronouns. And I just want to welcome all of you here this morning. It feels especially good to be here this morning, given the news cycle this week. Our hearts are really with people displaced by flooding, not only in Western Washington, but around the globe. And also the news we've had coming in, anti-Semitic actions, and difficulties at Brown University. I'm just really aware that we're a multi-generational congregation, so I will say a little more later. I want to welcome you to this idea this morning of hope and mending and restoration, which is our theme, with a reading from Atena O'Danner. If you are feeling worn thin and riddled with holes, I hope you will take comfort in the fact that much can be mended. Mending comes in many forms, and be aware, mending won't make anything new. You will be the same as what makes you, you. Yourself patched up, pulled together, and swiftly sewn. And if you've got time for darning, it is work, work, work. Tedious as meditation, and sometimes as rewarding. Just do what you have time for. Keep going and sewing and going and sewing. I am going to take the microphone out here today to see if any new people would like to introduce themselves. Do not feel pressured to do this, but we always like to know who our visitors are. I'm going to come out with a microphone. I know the tech team just loves it when I do this because it's not part of our regular. Does anybody new who just wants to say their name and where you're from? Evelyn wants us to know that she's here this morning. Okay. Hi.
Hi, my name is Jose. I've been here in the area for 30 years, 35 years, and I've tried to get here at least once a year. Uh, uh, I, I really enjoy being here. It fits with my beliefs. I have people around me that don't think so much that I'm here, but I love being here. And thank you.
Welcome, Jose. I will come back around, I promise.
Hello, my name is Moss. I've been here once before now. I was introduced to this style of church through a friend that actually grew up going here. Her name's Jane, if any of you know her. I was a little hesitant to come when I first was introduced to this. I grew up in a lot of very hateful religion, and it has been wonderful kind of getting to be part of a community.
Welcome. Glad you're here. I'm going to come around this way. And I'm sorry the folks on Zoom can't see all this, but you can hear it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maureen. I come from Kenya, Africa. This is my second time to be here. I was here last Sunday. I really love to be here. Come more often. And I thank my friend Jada here. She introduced me here. And I hope so we'll all be blessed and have a good year. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, I have missed someone? No?
Kenya, it's a long way.
I'm getting mixed messages. Some people want to say, think Beth wants to say something. No. Because we know who you are. We know you've been here before. That she is Yes, that she is the spouse of our Director of Children's Religious Education. All right. Well, thank you for those two of you who did introduce yourself. We grow in community when we get to know each other better and make connections. We'll turn things over to Charlie, our celebrant.
Morning, I'm Charlie Koperik. I'm using he, him today for pronouns. As I was sitting here, I realized that in a couple of weeks will be the 10-year anniversary of the first day I walked in the door. So I'm so just blessed to have found this place and all of you. So on that note, I'd like to invite Tanya Baker to light our chalice. Tanya's been with us for way longer than me. She started in grade school in the 80s. She's been coming. Sorry, I tried, Tanya. I tried. So if you could all join me in the words on the screen eventually. We'd light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. And if you could rise in body or spirit and join us in hymn number 118.
Good morning. Before I invite all the children and the young at heart to come up, can I ask y'all to raise your food donations that you may have for the food bank so the children can come collect them? Oh, we got plenty. There's so many donations. It shows how generous our members are. Is that everybody? I think we're good. All right. Well, now I'll officially invite the young and young at heart to come sit down and listen to a story. Yeah, but this one's my stories. Here we go. So today I'm reading a story about Hanukkah I wrote called The Heart of a Maccabee. When I was a small child, I could hardly wait for Hanukkah. It was my very favorite holiday. Not just because of the little gift I get each night after we lit our family Hanukkah, but because of the story my father would tell me, the story of my heroes, the Maccabees. They weren't just characters in a book. They were people who stood up for what was right when a powerful leader tried to take their freedom away. The story of Hanukkah. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, in a faraway land, Jewish people and their neighbors lived side by side. They each had their own traditions, and for a while, they lived in peace. But one day, a very mean king came to power. The king wanted everyone to act, dress, and live exactly the same way he did. He decided that the Jewish people had to stop celebrating their holidays and stop practicing their beloved traditions, or they would be punished. This made the Jewish families terribly sad. This wasn't just unfair, it was wrong. It was a rule meant to erase an entire community and who they were, their identity. But there was a small, brave group of Jewish people called the Maccabees, and they refused to give up who they were. They planned together in secret. They marched in the streets. They stood up for freedom. They said, "We will not stop being who we are. We will not give up our traditions." They fought for the right to exist as who they truly were. The king had armies, power, and control, but the Maccabees had courage, community, and determination. The Maccabees were brave every day and every night, until finally they defeated the king who tried to take their freedom away. When the Maccabees returned to their damaged temple, they found the menorah with only enough oil for one day, but they lit it anyway. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is shine whatever light you have left. The oil burned for 8 days, long enough for new oil to arrive. People call that the miracle of Hanukkah. But to me, the miracle started long before the oil. Today, I try to live like a Maccabee. I stand up for equality. I support people with different traditions and identities. And when I see mean laws meant to hurt people, I speak up. Because everyone deserves the freedom to be who they are. Every Hanukkah, when I see the candles glowing, I'm reminded that even the small lights can push back the darkness. Yes.
Nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go. We hold you in our love as you go.
This is the time we come together and remember that things don't just appear. Your gifts put our faith into action on a daily basis. Every gift helps our congregation bring people together and allows us to reach out and take a stand for justice, love, and peace. You can donate using the information on the screen. If you're in the sanctuary, the ushers will be passing baskets. There are baskets by the chalice for our safe parking and trans relocation assistance. Please give as you are able.
Please join me in the words on the screen. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation. We being a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. And could you please stand as you're able? Join us in number 83, Winds Be Still.
silence be still. Storm clouds pass and silence come. Please grace this time with harmony. Climate of hope and shine light of love and incorporate of tranquility. Let's fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view, help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far, and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shine in, illuminate our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new songs that become full symphony.
Oh, there is a theme of light going on in today's service as we talk about the Hanukkah story. Just to touch base on my opening, what I wanted to say was that our hearts are with the people of the news cycle, of the anti-Semitic shootings in Australia, and then also the shootings at Brown University, which are not anti-Semitic as far as I know. And I'm aware that we have children in our sanctuary at the beginning of the service. And so I want to respect you as parents for what you want to be sharing and not sharing with your kids. So that was my hesitancy. Even though I knew we were all kind of tracking what it was. So our hearts go out to those families and friends and institutions. So I'm following that with a reading on a prayer for hope and justice. So this is a prayer. Ground of being. We hold in our hearts the weight of a world where justice feels perpetually deferred. We see children separated from parents, communities, poisoned by corporate greed, voting rights under assault, and wonder if our small efforts matter against such towering forces of harm. Yet we also see persistent hope of those who refuse to surrender, activists who show up event after event, teachers who believe in their students, neighbors who care for neighbors. In their stubborn commitment to what is right, we find our own hope renewed. Through their witness and work, may we remember that justice is not about winning quickly, but about showing up faithfully again and again. Help us to understand that hope and action are partners, that our hope must have hands and our prayers must have feet. May our lives become letters of hope written to future generations. Proof that some believed another world was possible and worked to make it so. So today, because tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, which is, I don't know if we would have had a Hanukkah party anyway on this Sunday night, but it's really special that it will be happening on the first night of Hanukkah this year. And they will be lighting this menorah up here behind us that almost disappears into the darkness. So our theme this month is hope, and that means our kids downstairs have been studying about choosing hope. And our small group discussion groups called Chalice Circles are also talking about choosing hope. And hear how active that is. Hope doesn't happen to us, we choose it. I've subtitled for me, it's choosing hope and believing in miracles. And I know for any of you who were here 2 weeks ago, you already heard a sermon on the everyday miracles that perhaps Unitarian Universalists can relate to. So Hanukkah is considered a minor Jewish holiday, but it's still celebrated around the world. And in our culture, it helps to create a balance against Christmas being the Christian holiday or Christmas being the secular holiday. That Hanukkah creates balance. But because it follows the Jewish lunar calendar, sometimes it's close to Christmas and sometimes it's not. And while I'm not Jewish, I spent my 2 years in grad school living with a roommate who was, and the synagogue was right across the street from our apartment. So Hanukkah has held beauty and mystery for me. The beauty and warmth of lighted candles, the respect with which they were lit, growing by one additional candle each night, the warmth in the kitchen where dinners, the potlucks were prepared, homemade challah. My roommate would make homemade challah bread. I can still smell it. And the happiness of children looking for and finding chocolate coins all wrapped up in gold. And the beauty of the next generation learning the importance of the story. The wonder in a story that is firmly rooted in history and also contains a miracle. So when my son was about 7, his Sunday morning children's class at our home, Unitarian Universalist Church, which is in Bremerton, we're teaching about Hanukkah. So we always would have a quick, fun debrief after church. Sometimes with other families, we'd go out to lunch, to taco time. And we would do a debrief of what we had learned, what the adults learned and what the kids learned. And that Sunday, what I heard from my son is he wanted to make latkes at home. He wanted to celebrate all the nights of Hanukkah. And if we did, would he get a present every night? And he did, but on several of the Hanukkah nights, I talked to him about how much courage it took for the Israelites to kick out the bad guys and rebuild their temple. And this is what I want you to get out of the sermon this morning. That latkes and applesauce are great, but we want to tap into hope the way the Israelites did when they rebuilt their temple that had been defiled and parts of it entirely destroyed. I can summarize this message in this sermon, and it sounds something like the Nike ad campaign of Just Do It. Both, which I know is hard to do sometimes. I don't want to minimize how hard it can be to face challenges. But the Israelites in the Hanukkah story did not have a lengthy debate about what needed to be done. They grieved and then they did it. And what is often overlooked is the inspirational message that comes before the oil, the miracle of oil. They only had enough oil for one night, but it lasted all 8. But it was the decision that came before that to lean into hope and action. So I'm going to give you the historical approach, but I'm really glad you had Sean Pruitt's story because the historical approach is it's a little pithy. There's a lot to grab in it if you're trying to remember it all, but just don't try to remember it all. Just remember what speaks to you. So the book of 1 Maccabees in the Hebrew Bible, some of you might refer to the Hebrew Bible as the Old Testament, but I have learned that is not respectful to Jewish people. So please call it the Hebrew Bible. The book of 1 Maccabees narrates the history of the revolt against the Seleucid rule in Judea. And it was led by Judas Maccabeus and his brothers. So they were a family. And this is set in the years 175 to 143 before the Common Era. But I'm going to give you a little nerdy bit of background first. The history of the Israelites, I find such a fascinating story, and their story starts before there was a country of Israel. What was there before was the land of Canaan. And the land of Canaan, think of that where present day Israel is and some of the surrounding countries. Egypt wanted those lands. The Assyrians then wanted those lands. The Babylonians after that wanted those lands. And then Alexander the Great, and followed by the Ptolemies of Egypt. So the rich area of the northern kingdom, of what we would now think of as Israel, was rich farmland. The Assyrians took that. The whole area, this gateway between Egypt and the upper Mediterranean, so you could farm, you could grow wine grapes and olives and wheat and barley, and then you had trade routes. So while this area did have some times of peace, it was often under siege. Alexander the Great was there from 332 to 323 before the Common Era. The Ptolemies after that for over 100 years. And as a result of the rule of Alexander the Great, Hellenism, which was a mixture of Greek and Semitic culture, started to dominate all these countries in the Mediterranean basin. During this time, Hebrew scriptures were translated into Greek so that they could be more widely understood. By the 2nd century, though, before the Common Era, Judea, which contains Jerusalem, came under the control of the Seleucids, the successors to Alexander's rule in Mesopotamia and Syria. And the important issue at the time was that Jews became further divided over the issue of how to accommodate Gentile culture, non-Jewish culture. In the upper classes, called the Hellenizers, many were adopting Greek culture. In 1 Maccabees, they are called the lawless ones or renegades. They had compromised the law of Moses, which was sacred to the Israelites. Memorialized in Exodus and Deuteronomy was the forbidding of making covenants with Gentiles, with non-Israelites, because of the danger of being led away from Yahweh into idolatry. Again, Maccabees says, they joined with the Gentiles and they sold themselves to do evil, those Hellenizers. So it's really useful to note that the economic status of those more likely to sell themselves to evil, they were the upper class. Whereas the poorer people, the farmers, the rural areas, he's still laughing about the picture of the leader at the time that we saw up here. Poorer people, farmers in the rural areas were more likely to practice their faith and their daily life as they always had for centuries. The way of their ancestors, the way of their God, Yahweh had directed them to do. So once again, the land of Judea finds itself as the center of the religious, political, and economic tensions of the time. So Antiochus, who looks a tad bit like our current ruler, tried to remove the Jewish religious law and destroy the identity of the Jews. He plundered the temple. He outlawed Jewish practices. By defiling the temple, I mean not only physical damage to the structure, but they also brought in and sacrificed pigs, and they put in statues of Syrian gods, so idolatry. This was deeply offensive to the Jews because it was deeply offensive to their God. Antiochus also tried to destroy the faith tradition by prohibiting Jews from keeping the Sabbath and making daily offerings at the temple. They were required to make sacrifices to other gods, and they could no longer circumcise their sons. Those who disobeyed were publicly put to death. So the Maccabee brothers could have no more of this, and they started to lead guerrilla-style revolts, and people followed them. Eventually, they secured some independence for Judea and the Jewish people. They purified the temple and they set up the ruling Hasmonean dynasty. But I want to talk about this restoration of the temple. So I want to read directly from Maccabees chapter 4. Judas and his brothers said, "See, our enemies are crushed. Let us go up and cleanse the sanctuary and dedicate it." There they saw the sanctuary desolate, the altar profaned, and the gates burned. They also saw chambers of the priests in ruins. Then they tore their clothes and they mourned with great lamentation. They sprinkled themselves with ashes and they fell down, face down on the ground. And when the signal was given from the trumpets, they cried out to heaven. And then they got to work. They didn't have a victory party. They didn't give in to despair. They got right down to work. And for me, a non-Jew, that is the true miracle in the Hanukkah story. Because it's hard after oppression. It is hard after violence to regroup and move forward. And to stay in faithfulness while all that is going on. They chose hope over despair. The Jews' beautiful and sacred temple profaned, desolate, the chambers in ruins. Certainly, they paused to cry out in grief because that was so important. A pause to cover themselves in ashes. So they pulled on the strength of their community and the strength of their God, and they got the job done. There was so much more at stake than one person's life or one family's religious tradition. It was an entire community, an entire culture, lending courage and hope to one another. The scripture of the time also tells us they cleansed the sanctuary and removed the defiled stones to an unclean place. The altar was torn down and replaced. They rebuilt the sanctuary and the interior of the temple, and they consecrated the courts. They made new holy vessels and brought the lampstand, the altar of incense, and the table into the temple. They offered incense at the altar and lit the lamps on the lampstand, and this gave light inside the temple. They placed bread on the table, they hung up curtains. Thus, they finished all the work they had undertaken. They celebrated and dedicated the temple with songs and harps and lutes and cymbals. They celebrated the dedication of the new altar for 8 days. There was great joy among the people, and the disgrace brought by to the Gentiles was removed. So prior to this victory, Jews already had a midwinter celebration. No surprise there, as many cultures have a midwinter celebration. It marked the time of year when days are shortest. The holiday was a festival of joy. So the Assembly of Israel, after this restoration of the temple, determined that every year at that season, the days of dedication of the altar would be observed with joy and gladness for that 8 days. It would be called Hanukkah, the Hebrew word for dedication. Well, Hanukkah is a minor Jewish holiday, and it moves with the lunar calendar. It's celebrated often in November and December, during those shorter or shortest days of the year. And its most important symbol, we think of as the menorah, but I learned that it is actually the Hanukkah, which is what this is. Because some menorahs are Hanukkahs, but not all menorahs. So the Hanukkahs are specifically for the Hanukkah time. So when kindling, the candle is put on the farthest hold on the right of the menorah, and there is an additional candle added each night to show that each night has importance. And as I mentioned, we begin tonight at our 5 p.m. Hanukkah ceremony. But what I want you to do in the next 8 nights or 8 days, take a pause. Perhaps light a candle of your own and think about what needs restoration in your life. Or what you can do in community to be part of restoration. And notice how community links with hope and restoration links with community and hope. Author Rebecca Solnit tells us hope locates itself in a premises that we don't know what will happen. And in the spaciousness of uncertainty is the room to act. She emphasizes, quote, when you recognize uncertainty, you recognize that you may be able to influence the outcome. You alone, or you in concert with a few dozen or several million others. Hope is an embrace of the unknown and the sometimes unknowable. Unquote. So hope is the belief that what we do matters, even though how and when it may matter and who it might impact. These are things we don't necessarily know ahead of time. Hope is any of us leaping into the unknown or the only partially knowable and believing that we do make a difference. I loved in the reading that I started with how she said, it may not know the difference until generations to come. It's like a letter we write to them. So this winter holiday season, I encourage you to think about both small and large actions of hope. It might mean that knowing your donation to our youth's winter coat drive makes a difference to a teen or a child or an adult. It might mean a kindness you extend to a family member that you are going to see at a holiday. Maybe they drive you nuts. Maybe sometimes they're mean, but maybe by extending kindness, you set them off balance and maybe you can rebuild in a different way. And let's look at our food donations over here. We started this, I think, at the beginning of October, or maybe that last Sunday in September. There were items that came in regularly, but by November, they were spilling out of the top of the box. There were so many, and we had to take them to the food bank more often. So what we contribute there is nutrition, sustenance, and hope, and care. We express our care in this way so that recipients know that people care about them. And I've been thinking about when my 7-year-old asked me questions about the 8 gifts for the Nights of Hanukkah. And honestly, I have no idea what I gave him. I remember they were small token gifts because we had the whole Christmas thing to go on afterwards. But as an adult, I think about these gifts as the non-tangible, the things we feel, the emotions. I want you to just say out loud some gifts you would like to give or receive this year, like love or gratitude, belonging. What would you like to give or receive this year? Friendship, kindness, joy, comfort, acceptance, empathy, justice. Bob, I didn't hear yours. Laughter. Yes. Concern. Did I miss lightheartedness? Did I miss any? Forgiveness. Grilled cheese sandwich. Oh. Latkes tonight. All right. Maybe you want to jot down a few of those on your order, back of your order of service, so you can think about it later. So start tonight, and which each coming night of Hanukkah, add another one of those gifts. And start thinking about, what are you going to hold in your heart to give or to hope that you receive during the coming year? Blessed be and amen. For our closing hymn, Sheila will lead us. And I picked the hymn because it is a Hebrew song, and you're all going to say, but Margo, we don't know it.
We've sung it before. Please rise in body or spirit, 146 in the gray hymnal. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile with the wandering weather on that day thunder clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me.
Which is really funny because there are no closing words. They're apparently on my desk. So I am just going to say, enjoy a season of love, of caring, of hope, of kindness, of gratitude, and of being together. We are a community and we are here for one another.
Those are great closing words. And if you join me in the words on the screen, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. If you'll join us in our closing blessing song.